Hello and hi, Dr. Pamasari. Today, I and my group member want to present about geotechnical study case. My name is Ni Muhammad Shazafra bin Samuddin. My group member Hanif Sazwan bin Darussalam, Muhammad Kura Ashraf bin Hamdi, and Wan Muhammad Adib bin Muhammad Sharif. I want to present about Magneto's probe test. So the introduction, the Magneto's probe test is a simple and economic testing method to gather preliminary data and subsurface condition. Such data may be adequate for the design of foundation for light load structure as they provide as very economic method of determining thickness of soft deposits such as pit. So the objective is first collecting a distant soil sample for grain size analysis and soil classification. Second, determine subsurface stratigraph and identify materials present and evaluate soil descent and is to stress decomposition. And the last one is the geotechnical parameters. So the linear outcome is discuss and how to determine the bearing capacity stress of soil, discuss the geophysical method of magnetoscope. The theory, the main purpose of the test is to provide an indication of the relative density of regular deposits such as sense and graph for which is virtual impossible to obtain in the step sample. The same the light introduction. So the apparatus is boring rods, rod completeness, lighting tools, penetration cone, hammer, wrench, marking tools, and the last one ruler. So the procedure is first equipment for the test where assembled. The cone diameter was measured in SI unit. The boring rods and hammer were joined using the rod coupling. Chris was sweet very easy December later. The stand of 0.3 meter was measured and marked on the road start from the tip on the cone. The equipment was set up on the ground. The hammer was pulled until it reaches the maximum. The hammer was dropped friendly to driven to cone into the soil. The sum of the number of blow for penetration of 0.3 was recorded in data sheet. The hammer was taken off on the last 0.3 meter of each rod and joined the existing rod with another rod, and lastly the hammer the blow was continued a stopper after the blow was more than 400 for 0.3 penetration or the deep reach 50 meter. And the last one, the rod was pulled out using lifting tools after the penetration reached the equipment. The equipment was disassembled and cleaned before the data and analysis. For result and calculation, first column is deep no outflow and cumulative no outflow. Second, by layer, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, deep number of flow estimate. Then the type of rock, soft rock, coarse sand, medium sand, fine sand, soft shell, soft clay, and very soft clay. And the first layer is we got the soft rock and coarse sand. The second layer rock, and the third medium sand. So I will pass to my friend to continue the next experiment. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. So next, I will continue the presentation. My name is Hanif Shazam bin Salam, and I will explain about standard penetration test. Objective of standard penetration test is undertaken to accomplish typical penetration to achieve the penetration resistance along the depth at a specific construction site. Learning outcome is understanding the objective, equipment, work procedure, and analysis of standard penetration test. So next is theory of standard penetration test is a common in situ testing method used to determine the geotechnical engineering properties of surface soil. It is a simple and inexpensive test to estimate the relative density of soil and approximate shear strength parameter. Next is equipment. The first one is drilling equipment. Next is split spoon sampler, drive brake assembly, cat head, hammer, donut hammer, and the last one is automatic hammer. So now we move to procedure. The first step is drilling of borehole. Drill the borehole to decide sampling depth and clean up all disturbed material. The equipment used shall provide a clean borehole 100 to 150 mm in diameter. 4 instances of the sample to ensure the penetration test is performed on undisturbed soil. And the second step is driving the casing. Where casing is used, it shall not be driven below to the level at which the test is made or soil sample is taken. And the third step is assembling equipment. Attach the split spoon sampler to the drill rod and lower into the hole until it is sitting on the undisturbed material, and attach the drive relay assembly. Step number 4 is penetration testing. Rise and drop the hammer 0.76 meter successfully by means of the rope and cathead, using no more than 2 and 1/4 rod around the cathead. The hammer should be operated between 40 and 16 blows per minute and should drop fairly. The last step is handling sample. Bring the sample to the surface and open it. Remove any obvious contamination from the end or side and drain excess water. Carefully scrub or slide along one side to expel fresh material and any stratification. So the last one is analysis. The first table is relative density and the second table is unconfined compressed strength of cohesive soil. And the third one is effective stress friction angle. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello and good morning, Doctor. My name is Muhammad Adibur Muhammad Sharif. My method number is 01DK821F1041. Today I will to present about cone penetration test. Okay, now I will to present about objective. The objective of the cone penetration test is to determine the resistance of the soil and soft rock to the penetration of the cone and the local friction on the sieve. Second, I will to present about the learning outcome. The first learning outcome to get the percentage of water content and the mass of the pore water has been divided with the mass of the soil solid. Now I will to continue about the theory. The cone penetration test (CPT) has been widely used in the technical engineering as an in situ test to map soil profile and assess the soil properties. For instance, CPT test results in sand are often used to estimate soil friction angle and the soil modulus. The applicability of estimation from such tests depends mainly on the proper interpretation of the test result. Now I will to continue about the equipment. The first equipment is cone penetrometer. Second, cone penetrometer hand operated. Third, cone point condition test guard. 4. Penetration test cone 30 gram 30-degree angle. 5. Penetration test cup. And the last timer for the cone penetration. Now I will to continue about the procedure. First, 20 grams of a soil was taken and a small amount of the distilled water was added. Second, it was then mixed until it appeared a thick homogeneous paste. Third, more distilled water was added so the first cone penetration reading was about 15 mm. Next, a portion of made soil was pushed into the cup using palette knife to make sure not to trap air. Next, the penetration cone was locked in the raised position, lower the supporting assembly so the tip of the cone just touched the surface of soil. Next, 7. The stem of the dell gauge was lowered to contact the cone shaft and the reading was recorded. And then next, the cone was released after 51 seconds. Next, the difference between the beginning and the end, the drop cone penetration was recorded. Then the cone was lifted out and the clean avoid sketch. 20 measure content sample was taken, about 10 grams for the area penetrated by the cone. Last step is step 2 to 20 will repeat for 3 times. Now I will to explain about analysis. Moisture content on the x-axis while the penetration on the y-axis. Plot and we can get liquid limit after projected. Thank you. Now I will to give uh, to my friend to continue about explanation.
Okay, thank you to my friends Muhammad Adib. I will continue the presentation. For my part is plug bearing test. First, my name is Muhammad Khairul Ashraf bin Hamdi. My metric number is 01DK821F1067. Okay, next for objective. The plate bearing test is done when show foundation are to be used or temporary work extraction such as a peeling ring or crane or would be required on site. This test check the bearing capacity of the soil near the surface of the ground. It also check the possible statement under a curtain loads. Okay, next. Learning outcome, the plate. First, confirmation of the azimuth bearing capacity during design stage. Second, estimate the design parameter to relate the soil bearing capacity. And lastly, for the learning outcome, estimate the likely settlement of the foundation under the working load. Okay, next is theory. The plate bearing test or plate loading test is an isolate bearing test of soil used for determine the ultimate bearing capacity of the ground and the likely statement under a given load. Okay, next is equipment or apparatus. Okay, first is counterweight. Second is hydraulic jack or load cell with pressure gauge. Okay, yang next is proving ring. Next is bearing plate, and next for dial gauge, and lastly for reference beam. Okay, next part is our procedure. First, preparing the test site. Second, selection of the size of bearing plate. Third, excavation and preparation of test pit. Next is setting up the loading device and definition recording device. Lastly, for the procedure, selection of the size bearing. Okay, for the part analysis, the total value of load and the plate divided by the area of steel plate given the value of the ultimate bearing capacity of soil. A factor of safety is applied to give the safe bearing capacity of soil. Approximate equivalent CBR values can be derived from the modulus of subgrade reaction by use a mathematical relationship. Result from the test show capacity raw data load statement curve with pressure recommended allowable pressure for foundation design and modulus of subgrade reaction for road design. Okay, next is for analysis. This diagram, and this one is diagram. Okay, lastly, for the part of reference, that's all my reference our group. Okay, next. Okay, that's all for my group. Thank you.